Brian's not here. Did anyone sign up to talk tonight? No one. All right, we'll continue with our regular business. Approval of the minutes, April 2nd, 2018, please.
So moved.
Motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
April 2nd, minutes approved. Bill payment, voucher number 201-80542 through 201-80654 with a total of $542,981.19. Have a motion, please?
So moved.
A motion and a second, please? I'll give a second. How's that? All in favor?
Aye.
Payment approved. Department heads, Paul Siegman. A little bit of water out there today, Paul. I was hoping they were here to see you.
I don't have much tonight. I just got a couple things. We got all this water, and I sent my guys out. Last week I sent them out because we knew the water was going to be hitting again. Try to get stuff out of ditches and all this, and it's kind of comical. I'll watch a garbage can. After garbage day, I ain't going to grab it, but I'll leave it sit for a couple days as long as it ain't going to rain. It'll sit there and sit there and sit there. I sent two guys to go out there and break their back to try to get a garbage can out of a ditch. The minute they get it out, the resident runs out of the house and says, hey, thanks a lot for getting my garbage can out. In the meantime, we miss them. They end up in our pipes, and we got water problems. A lot of this stuff is caused by people going laziness. Garbage cans, garbage lids, just kids' toys. They're too lazy to go out and pick it up. They wait for our guys to come out and do it. We had a guy with a truck bed, bed liner, blew in a creek. Sat there and sat there and sat there, and I said, we better get it before the rain starts. After they dragged it out of the creek, brought it into my shop, the guy showed up and says, hey, thanks a lot for taking my bed liner out of the creek. It's just the point of being ridiculous. I should have thrown it in the dumpster and told him it was gone. He did get it back, though. One other thing, I don't get on social media, but people tell me about social media. And all I can tell anybody here is if somebody has a problem with one of my crews or how we're doing something or how we're not doing something, I always return my phone calls. I really wish people would call me at my office and talk to me there and not badmouth me and the people in my department on Facebook, whatever all that other stuff is. I don't do any of that. So I don't see it, which I'm glad. But like I said, if somebody has a problem with something, they need to call me at my office because I do talk to everybody that calls me. Very rarely do I miss a phone call. The only other thing is I have a resolution, I believe it's from Wendell, about grant for bridges. If you guys have any questions about that. Just a little bit of the history of that. We applied for one last year for Two-Drive extension. We did get that. It's through New York State. I think we're allowed to apply for one bridge a year and 3 culverts. And I started applying for them because we've seen what it costs us when we did Lemke Drive and we did Eric Road. Even when we did our own job on Walmart, it's expensive. So when I can get state funding, I do. And every year I will try to apply for the maximum that I can just so we can try to get some of our infrastructure replaced. And New York State will help pay for it. That's all I have.
And what's the percentage? It's like 90...
It's 95% on bridges, and I believe it's 100% on culverts. Up to 100,000, I believe, on culverts. I don't have the paper right in front of me, but I believe that's what it is. But it's 95% on bridges. We applied for Plaza Drive. Now, that bridge was yellow flagged 2 years ago. Unfortunately, they don't send out the report until after the grant work had to be turned in, which made no sense to me. You would think they would get you the report first, and then you'd know where to apply for it. We were yellow flagged again this year. Yellow flag just means we've got to watch the bridge. But if they red flag it, I have to shut the bridge down. It's a possibility. That is about $1.3 million. If I can get a grant to cover 95% of that, I mean, it'd be great. It's not a sure thing, but it's going to cost a lot if we got to pay for it. So that's all I had.
Thank you, Paul.
Paul, I see Sean shot about every 4 months. I'm about due. Anything new on is that over in Burkles?
Hunt Street?
Hunt Street, that's it. Nothing.
I don't know where we're at that, because when I talked to Dean from the county, at one time they wanted to tear the bridge right out and be done with it. Now, because there's been some opposition to that idea, it's sitting there the way it is. I don't know if they've applied for grants. I mean, they can apply for the same grants we are, so maybe that's what they're doing, trying to apply for a grant. I don't know.
Okay. I got one more thing. May 5th, Liberty Drive cleanup. Cub Scout Pack, 833. It'll be the 27th year that Liberty Drive's been cleaned by the Cub Scout Pack and members of the town board and the highway department. So just wanted to.
You want a dump truck or a single axle? What
Yeah.
time?
If you could do a little bit of a clean, there's probably a half a dozen tires out there and stuff. We just try to keep an eye on it and keep the rubbish and the trash down to a minimum because once it starts getting bad, it gets worse.
Do you have any idea what time?
9 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
And the sewer district will supply the dumpster at the end of their facility. Frontier Fire is going to provide refreshments, and I know Supervisor McSwan and Councilman Retzloff and them are all going to bring a dozen donor piece. So.
Okay. All right. I'll write it down on my calendar. Make sure.
I like how that works, Larry. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All set?
Yep.
Any special donuts, Larry?
Chocolate.
Richie
Double
Donner,
chocolate.
Water Superintendent. No report. I just want to point out he's been laying at the beach in Florida, so that's why he has no report.
Bring any warm.
Welcome back, Rich. Mike Rinaldi, Recreation Director.
Good evening. Just a couple of registration updates and one announcement. Final tally for baseball, softball registrations. 2016 we had 276 registered. 2017 we had 313, and then 2018 we had 320. I had a directors meeting 2 weeks ago with all the directors within the county. I was the only one showing actually an increase on our numbers. I think we're getting a lot of them from Cambria for whatever reason. So that they're paying that out of town non-resident fee. So we're trending in the right direction there. Second thing, summer camp completely booked. We have 88 children registered. The only days that we're even accepting waiting lists are during the week of 4th of July. We're obviously closed on that Wednesday, and I assume a lot of families have scheduled vacations that week. But we only take 10 on our waiting list because in the past we would have like 30 deep, and it was just like we never got to any of them. We try to accommodate as many as we can, but we figure we take 60 for the day, an additional 10 for our waiting list, and at that point, like, you're pretty much not going to get in after that, but we do the best we can. And
You
then
do field trips on some of those days too, don't you?
we do swim on Tuesdays. And we've actually had a couple of problems with that this year, finding locations, because Wheatfield is shutting their pool down for the summer for some type of part that I don't even know where it's coming from, but they're just, pool's closed. And Tripp, their pool has been out of service for 3 years.
How about Star Point?
Star Point said no. I called them personally. We've tried NU. We do go to Memorial, but the problem with Memorial is if the weather, it rains, it's outside, we can't go that day. So we have a bunch of contingency plans in place. NU has a facility that has been offered, so we'll make that work. And then on Thursdays, our big field trip is actually we go to Strong Museum in Rochester. The kids love that. It's a long bus ride, but it's worth it. If you've ever been to that place, it's fantastic for kids. And then my last thing, senior dance, Saturday. Arlene, you ready? You look like you're ready. I'm ready. Saturday, April 21st. If you would like to come on out, you can call Gail, 694-8504. She'll put you on the list. That's all I got.
Great, Mike, thank you. Anybody have any for Mike? Thank you, Mike. Excuse me. Arlene, would you put me on the list for that senior dance, please? Mike Clark.
Good evening. I have nothing tonight.
Okay, I just want to say one thing. Several days ago, Mike had contacted me about a house, John Matteo's house, where there's been some fire damage and the fence fell down, which exposed the in-ground pool. And I just want to thank Mike publicly for, in a matter of a couple days, taking care of it, and the house is secured. Mike, thank you.
Well, I better thank Brian too, because I'll
Well,
tell
I
you,
mean, he's one of your men. And
I appreciate
thank the
that.
building
We
department.
do thank
How's
you.
that? Okay.
There you go. But I will pass it on to Brian, because he was very instrumental in getting that done.
All right. Appreciate it, though, Mike.
Guys, anything else? Thank you, Dan.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Bridget? Where is she? Ah.
I have nothing.
But at least you made it to the microphone, Bridget. Anybody have anything for Bridget? Thank you, Bridget.
Thank you.
Arlene Manti. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Arlene. Tim Wallach. Wendell.
So we just have one motion for the board, but before I get to that, the planning board summary. So there's 2 planning board meetings to just go over what was brought up at those meetings. The first is the meeting on March 21st. The first was a sketch plan from Upstate Tower. It's for a cell tower replacement. The applicant is proposing to demolish an existing 145-foot tall tower located at 7263 Shawnee Road and construct a new 165-foot tower in its place. The tower and associated equipment would be located within a 50-foot by 50-foot leased area. The applicant was advised to review the town's telecommunication facilities law, which would require several variances at this location. The applicant was also advised that they would need a special use permit, need to satisfy the FAA and Mercy Flight, and that an RF study would be required and would be reviewed by a third-party consultant at the applicant's cost. The applicant appeared before the planning board previously on May 17th of last year and resubmitted the same sketch plan with no modifications. The applicant was advised that their next step would be to complete a long EAF and return it to the planning board to initiate a coordinated review under seeker. No action was taken by the planning board on that. The next was a site plan from Wheatfield Gardens. That's the greenhouse facility on Shawnee Road. The applicant proposes to construct a 3,600 square foot addition to one of the existing greenhouse buildings at 7341 Shawnee. One of the existing greenhouses will be converted to grow leafy green produce, i.e. lettuce, and the addition will be a pack house for that produce. The applicant was advised of several items that still need to be included or addressed on the site plan. The applicant also stated that the pond behind the facility is no longer needed and will be filled this year. It is anticipated that the project will generate 20 new jobs. No action was taken. And the last one for that meeting was the site plan for the Moog rocket test facility. The applicant proposes various renovations to multiple existing buildings at their location in the Wheatfield Business Park, as well as the new construction of a 725 square foot scrubber building, a 7,595 square foot propellant storage building, and associated access drive. The project is anticipated to generate 100 new jobs, 50 at this facility and 50 at their East Aurora facility. The applicant was advised of several items that are to be addressed, including review by the Fire Advisory Board and local fire department, FAA, NFPA, and airbase notifications. The planning board issued a negative declaration under seeker. No other action was taken as the applicant must now acquire their special use permit from the town board and a height variance from the ZBA prior to site plan approval. And I know some of that has happened since this meeting, so that was March 21st. The last meeting to report on tonight was the April 4th planning board meeting. There were 2 applicants. The first was a sketch plan from Buffalo Solar Solutions. The applicant proposes to construct a 110-foot by 235-foot ground-mounted solar panel array at 2921 Niagara Falls Boulevard. The 25,850 square foot array would be located towards the rear of the property and would be a fixed tilt stationary racking system Power generated by the project will offset approximately 90 other national grid meters through remote net metering. It was not clear if this installation qualifies as a ground-mounted solar energy system or a utility-scale solar energy system, so the planning board requested a legal determination from the town attorney. The town attorney subsequently suggested that the ZBA make the appropriate interpretation of the code. No action was required or taken. And the last thing that night was a sketch plan from the Burkles Fire Department. They are proposing to construct a 40 by 80 foot pavilion on the Burkles Fire Department property at 2470 Niagara Road. Site plan approval is required since the proposed 3,200 square foot accessory structure exceeds the 600 square foot maximum area specified in the code. The structure would be built in the same location where a house once existed. The house bought that property and combined their lot with the existing lot and demolished the house. The applicant was advised that their next step would be to apply for a variance from the ZBA for the proposed front setback. No action was required or taken on that. So that is the planning board report. There is one motion for the town board's consideration tonight. Whether you want to do it now or later is up to the board, but that is to schedule a public hearing for a proposed change to the town code regarding off-street parking. Yeah, as I understand it, the planning board is currently in the process of reviewing the code. There's concern that maybe the code is requesting more parking than what is needed. Yeah. Right now, the code requires if there is a parking variance requested, it has to come to the town board. Yeah. Their request is that should be changed to the planning board to help speed the process along. That's the request, but there needs to be a public hearing and seeker completed on that before that can be moved.
Just so that people know here, over the years, we have been dealing with this time and time again, where the parking requirements were too stringent for some of the applicants, and they really were. Back as far as when I was on the planning board, and every time someone needed relief, it had to come to the town board for our approval to reduce the parking. So the intention here is to get the appropriate parking spaces and retail sales, etc., so it doesn't have to hold the applicant up and then come to the town board for approval from us. So that's the purpose of the hearing. Do you want to do that motion on that? Okay.
Okay, so the motion is requested by Wendell to schedule a public hearing for a proposed change to town code as requested by the town planning board, chapter 200, zoning, article 8, off-street parking, loading and staking, section 200-59, modification of requirements, paragraph A. Variations said the public hearing will be held at a date and time to be determined.
You guys want to set the time now? Are they ready for they're set to okay.
Yeah, the proposed changes are in your guys' packet from us as recommended by the planning board, and Tim Zuber had put together a memo for the board also.
What's your pleasure, guys?
We already
7th or 21st?
we tentatively have in the motions I prepared another public hearing for May 21st regarding the cable franchise agreement. However, I would not anticipate that to take very long.
Okay, I don't think this one will either, so we can do it the 21st. How's that? We haven't set a time on
The other one I proposed 7 p.m.
Okay, so we can do it at 6:45 then?
That's fine.
On the 21st. Did we get that from that?
No, I don't think so, not really.
A motion to schedule the public hearing for the 21st for the revision of the parking regulations in the town zoning law.
I'll second your motion.
And all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
That's all I have unless the board has any questions for Wendy.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay. Motions. You know, one thing I thought about today. I see Mike Zarbo sitting here, and we had talked about the flooding and all the ice storms and all these things going on in the last few weeks, and we are working. Mike has done a lot of work on preparing for disaster preparedness. case something was to happen. And, you know, we always kind of kick the can down the road, and if we could even just have a motion, it's not added, that at the interim, have the the building department be used as a command center in the case of a disaster. And the reason being is because they have counters on there, multiple phones, conference room, so there would be an area for press. And again, that would be just a temporary thing until we find a permanent location. But if I could have a motion to designate the building department as a command center in the case of a disaster.
So moved.
Have a motion, and a second, please?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Thank you. I appreciate that, guys. One thing, Richie, could I ask you a question? Just a question. Years ago, and I'm dating myself, but we used to test the generator plug in the town hall, so that there was a need for emergency power. They would pull up to the back of the building. Is that generator still available? Okay, that's okay, but I guess that's my question. If we had this as a command center, obviously we're going to need power, and maybe it's something we should talk about or think about.
Have Bernie, our grants writer, start looking for, for generator type grants.
But I mean, if we had, we can talk about this our next department meeting, but it's something we should think about, because if the power goes out, we're going to need power here if this is a command center. Yeah, maybe we should. Yeah, maybe we should do that anyway, Richie, just to see what's available, because I know there is a transfer switch in the basement, and you can throw that switch, plug into the building, see what we have. I know there was emergency lighting, phones, heat, things like that, but if we could do that sometime in the near future, appreciate it. Thank you.
Another question on generators. Now, I know highway, Paul, you've got a generator out there on your building. Rich, do you have generators on your back build? Does it just power? Okay. But your back building, what does it run? Just limited? It doesn't run as much as we thought.
And that's something else, the town board, Mike Zarbo, that we should do, and you and I talked about this morning, at some time in the near future, yourself and Richard and the town board get together to discuss updating our disaster preparedness plan. Okay? It's automatic? Mike, maybe we could get together, go back and look at the facility and just see what that may be. But in the interim, even if it's for 2 weeks, we have a place as a command center, and that'll be the building department. Okay? All right. I'm yakking away here. All right, motions. Matt.
Okay, back to motions. I believe we had a second one from Wendell and perhaps also the Highway Department. Whereas the town of Wheatfield applied for a grant under the 2018 New York State DOT Bridge New York program for replacement of a Plaza Drive bridge, and whereas in response to the grant application, the town of Wheatfield has been asked about the seeker status of this project, and whereas the town of Wheatfield has reviewed this project as it relates to 6 NYCRR Part 617 seeker of the Environmental Conservation Law, and has determined that the project meets the criteria of a Type 2 action as defined in Section 617.5 C2, which states replacement, rehabilitation, or reconstruction of a structure or facility in kind on the same site. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Wheatfield Town Board determines the proposed Plaza Drive Bridge is a Type 2 action under seeker and is therefore not subject to any further review under seeker, and be it further resolved that the documentation of this Type 2 action determination be placed in the project file and provided to the grant agency.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Next motion, to authorize the creation of 2 part-time positions, to wit, part-time census clerks to assist the town in the LUCA local update of census address operation for the 2020 census, The 2 part-time census clerks will report to the Chief Information Officer, and said positions will be created at part-time rate of grade 5, step 1A.
So moved.
Get a motion. Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Next motion relates to the previous one, to hire 2 part-time census clerks, Don D. and Doris Liedersdorf, at a rate of pay and job terms pursuant to job specifications and subject to Human Resource Department approval.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Next motion from Park Department, Rec Department, to hire the following individuals as groundskeepers: Alex Hake, Brock Croning, Steve Bartolomeo, Matt Sissio, Daniel Sissio, Jamie Martin, Nicholas Kosis, and Richard Winnie as park guards, and as park guards, Lindsay Kankar, Lisa Demler, Alyssa Martin, Alexis Eustace, Kristen Kletke, and Joseph Delabio as summer seasonal help for the Parks and Recreation Department at a rate of pay and pursuant to job specifications of the Park and Recreation Department's seasonal help and pending approval of Human Resources and a Niagara County criminal background check.
A motion, please.
I'll make the motion. Would we include, or could we include these people, hires, into our random drug testing policy?
Instead of doing it with recreation, we do it separately for all part-time people.
Okay. I'll make the motion.
Second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Next motion from the Water and Sewer Department, to hire Bryce Sigmund as summer seasonal help for the Water and Sewer Department at a rate of pay and terms pursuant to the job specifications of the Water and Sewer Department's seasonal help and pending approval of Human Resources and Niagara County criminal background check.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Motion and, excuse me, in a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Next motion, to authorize the town of Wheatfield to provide diesel fuel and gasoline to Niagara Wheatfield Central School District during the summer of 2018 in approximately July and August, while the school district's fuel tank system is undergoing reconstruction. The town shall issue fuel cards to the school district in order to monitor the fuel consumption, and thereafter the town is authorized to bill the school district on a periodic basis for fuel consumed at a cost to include the town's fuel procurement costs, costs for provision and monitoring and billing services.
So moved. Second. A motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I think the next motion in the agenda was regarding a decision on the bike race, but I believe that's to be tabled.
Yeah, I think it should be.
So we will skip that one and move on to, in the package, there was a motion, again from the Water and Sewer, that has been modified, and the modified version goes as follows: to appoint Town Water and Sewer Department employee Greg Martin to the vacant MEO position within the Water and Sewer Department in accordance with the current labor contract and prior labor contracts, which upon discussion with the union representation shall grandfather his seniority prior to the existing contract, thereby qualifying him to be placed in said position. Said appointment is pursuant to the job specifications of the existing MEO title.
I'll make the motion.
A motion and a second, please.
Second.
Have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Next motion from the Budget Director, be it resolved that this town board does hereby approve the following 2017 year-end budget transfers in order to balance out appropriation expense accounts at year-end, and that is as presented in the motion.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Next motion is to authorize the town of Wheatfield, Town Supervisor Don McSwan, and the town board to evaluate the use of LED lighting for streets in the town of Wheatfield in an effort to reduce town expenditures and save taxpayer money.
A motion, please.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Just in brief, folks, we have met with the National Grid in the discussion of converting the town street lighting system into LEDs. And, it's an approximate figure right now, but the town can save approximately, give or take, depending on the lighting system, up to $12,500 a year. So we're gonna pursue this, and we'll see what the final figures are before we make a decision. Thank you, Matt. Go ahead.
Next motion to schedule a public hearing for approval of a cable television agreement between Time Warner Cable Northeast LLC and the town of Wheatfield to be held May 21st, 2018 at 7 p.m. at the Wheatfield Town Hall, 2800 Church Road, North Tonawanda, New York.
Any motion, please?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second on the question.
Yep.
Will we have, Matt, a copy of that agreement on the website, like a tentative?
I have provided it in the motion package, but, and Kathy should have that, so you could ask, we can certainly
And we
place
can put it
that.
on the website so that people, I know with all the changes going on now with Spectrum and eliminating Channel 4 and, going to digital, there's, a lot of people so I just want to make sure that if people call, if they got issues, we can direct them to what's out there as far as what the new agreement may entail.
Yeah, and of course, we would keep one on hand at the clerk's office, but we can also, we can put it on the website.
Thank you, Larry. We have a second, I believe. Yes?
Yeah, we did.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Next motion, from Recreation Department again to hire Maddie Walker, Tess Walter, and Christina Myers for the Youth Center Summer Camp staff at a rate of pay and terms pursuant to the job specifications of the Parks and Recreation Department seasonal help pending approval of Human Resources and a Niagara County criminal background check.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, and then there was a motion not in the package, but I understand it wanted to be added by the board, which would add to the random drug tests of all full-time employees we have to include part-time summer employees as well to that random drug testing program.
So moved.
I'll second that motion.
And a second. I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed. And department heads, maybe make all of your people aware that the drug testing will extend to part-time people also?
I think there's another motion that.
Yes,
Okay.
there's one more coming. And then the last motion that I have at this point, to approve and authorize the town of Wheatfield Supervisor Don McSwan to sign a municipal information form regarding the transfer of previously declared surplus real property located on Ontario Drive, town of Wheatfield, SBL number 177.01-3-112, prepared by the town attorney to be forwarded to the New York State Legislature in order to obtain state permission for said sale.
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And that is, I believe, all I have for motions.
Larry Hellwood.
I announced earlier about the Liberty Drive cleanup, our 27th year, having the Cub Scouts do that on May 5th. I'm glad to see that we've got two highly qualified people that are going to help me out with the census, John D. and Doris. So after the meeting, if you got a minute, let's talk and set up some type of a schedule for moving forward. And I think Kathy has all your paperwork signed. It's pretty particular with the federal government. We got to sign your life away. I promise you we won't go to jail. And the new phone system that we're getting for the town, we met last week, Thursday, with Jason from Newcastle. There were a few concerns, and I think most of them had been addressed. There was issues with lights on the phones. We've been told that we haven't seen the new phones yet. They're in their office. They've been purchased. They have them, but they wanted to make sure. Some of the secretaries wanted to make sure that if their boss was on the phone, will my phone be lit? And they told me yes. There was a do not disturb button that I know a lot of the departments use. So when they're at lunch break or something, so if the phones just don't keep ringing, If you're not gonna be in your office, you can press that do not disturb and it'll go right to voicemail. They assured me that that button would work too. There's some auto attendant scripts, and right now I think the town clerk, supervisor's office, and mainly the town hall and building department has button numbers to push. It doesn't automatically ring to a person, but it rings to like a generic greeting, and you have to press what option you want. Other departments saw that, and there may be, I'm going to send out what we have slated tentatively for the town hall, but if, and other departments are wanting to put something like that together for their departments, it'll be there. Other than that, our current phone system, department head meeting this morning, I made the analogy, our current system's like a Siamese twin, and we're trying to separate these two twins. We have a voice system, and we have modems and analogs, we have fax lines, and the current system was all analog, and basically all the phones, whether they were a fax machine, a security alarm, or whatever it was, or just a voice machine, or just a handset where you pick it up, it was all intertwined together. We're splitting. The new system's only going to be working with voice only. Your modems, security alarms, fax lines are still going to be what the old-fashioned term POTS lines. They're all going to have an analog POTS line. The new system is all going to be an IP system. Everything's going IP. It's called voice over IP, VoIP. So we're going to be going to like an internet protocol, voice over IP for your phones, but just the voice piece of it. And if the departments have questions, I'll email some scripts out tomorrow that show what the voice attendant will work like at town hall. I know recreation, water, sewer, highway, you don't have any of those yet, the courts don't, but if there's interest, we can piecemeal. We can make this new system. It doesn't have to mimic what the old system has. Just because we've been doing something for 30 or 40 years doesn't make it right. Now's our time. We can change this in the future. It doesn't have to be changed tomorrow, but if you want to change this thing around a little bit, a week or a month from now, we can do that. That's all I have.
Thank you, Larry. Gil Doucette.
I don't have any.
Thank you, Gil. Kurt Doctor is away on business. Randy Reslov.
The Ag Group is meeting next Monday at 7 p.m. And one other quick question, this franchise agreement, is there ever a chance that we get any money from Verizon or like where I live, we get Frontier Communications? Is there ever a chance of getting a franchise funds from any other company other than Spectrum or Time Warner?
Typically, a franchise agreement is awarded to one entity and the law is for cable television services. So other types of services, dish or internet type streaming services really don't apply. It's really
We don't have finance.
right. It's really with regard to cable television, which to a certain degree, I guess, and maybe Larry knows better, is technologically on its way out. I guess now moving satellite and streaming and those types of things. But the law authorizing franchise agreements are for old-fashioned cable TV services, and they don't allow for internet. They just allow for everything with or the phone you get through the cable company, just for TV broadcasting. That includes all the services they provide with cable TV, the installation fees, the pay-per-views, but unfortunately it does not go to this new streaming, Netflix, things like that.
But our Time Warner Spectrum franchise fee that the town actually receives from the cable company, it seems like it's been increasing every year. I don't know what, it's like $200 and some thousand that, or do you know? Did we receive our first quarter? Not yet. 220,000 we get, and it's gone up every year. It goes up a little bit. It looks like we're still a little bit on the incline, whereas sales tax we're kind of like on a little bit of a decline, but.
I suppose it's still increasing, but I guess
But they keep increasing their rates, and we're a percentage of the rate. So
right,
it's not that they have more customers, but when they charge more, the franchise fee goes up too.
Yeah, it's 5%. In the previous contract, The new contract to be negotiated is 5%, which is the maximum that a municipality is allowed to get.
Randy, thank you. I've just got a couple things. I spoke a little bit before. First of all, we are still working with National Grid on the conversion, hopefully, to convert the town streetlights into LEDs with a cost savings to the town. Secondly, Matt and I met with Modern Disposal and hopefully have an answer tomorrow, negotiating a favorable outcome for our garbage for the next 2 years. Also, if anybody saw the nightly news tonight, the headline was David Yager in the Wheatfield Tribune won 3rd place for the New York Press Association Rookie of the Year contest. David, congratulations. David, would you like to tell us how you did it? No? Okay. But congratulations, David. You've done a great job, not just for us, but I see for anyone that you report for, you've done a wonderful job, and I know the town of Wheatfield certainly appreciates what you do for us. Thank you. Congratulations. Okay, next meeting is May 7th, 2018. We're going to have a public hearing. No, that's not to the following. Okay. 7 o'clock, regular town board meeting. Any public input? Well, thank you. I'm going to make a motion to move into executive session to discuss a personnel matter. Do I have a second? All in favor?